Hi everyone, Lilith here. Welcome to another competitive Pokemon video. A while back, I made a top 10 worst top 10 worst fully evolved Pokemon in ADV, and I'm going to do the same thing with DPP, so Gen 4. I have a guest for this. Uh,
Hello, it is I, Aiden, member of the DPPSU Council, and very big enjoyer of DPP lower tiers as a whole. I'm very excited to be on for this one because recently, I believe, yeah, Spice and I made a video talking about like the how low can DPP go, right? Which I found to be a really fascinating subject, and this sort of falls into a similar idea with that. But I think the appeal with like talking about like lower tier fully evolved Pokemon is the fact that these are fully evolved Pokemon, so they should be stronger, right? But they're next to Pokemon like Clamperl. They're worse than Pokemon like Clamperl even. They're much worse, and that's what makes this list so interesting. Just how bad can the fully evolved get? How pathetic can they become?
yeah, and something a bit different about this video is with ADV, there were only 15 fully evolved Pokemon left for SU. So it was actually surprisingly easy to figure out what the bottom 10 were and what order to put them in. For DPP, there were 32 fully evolved Pokemon remaining in IU, the tier below SU. This means that this list is going to be a lot more speculative than the ADV one because none of these Pokemon have any use in IU whatsoever.
hmm Yeah, because like when we were going through the list, the things that we considered were if it's a Pokemon that has even a tiny niche in IU, then we're is very likely not going to be considered for the list.
Yeah, which is why something like Ladian, which was something we considered for the list, uh, it is actually probably one of the best dual screens mons left for IU. So,
Yeah, like I would personally consider Ledion to be quite a solid IU Pokemon. Of course, it's not very explored yet because IU in general hasn't been explored too
yeah.
much. But with dual screens, but with Light Clay staying unbanned in SU, that affects all the other tiers below it as well. And Ledion has a pretty solid case for itself in IU, given the fact that it's faster than many. I'm pretty sure it is the fastest screen setter, and it has a really solid utility with like Encore. I'm sure
Let
it
me
gets Encore,
check
right?
that. I don't. It's tied with Staryu for
Looks like it
fastest
gets Encore.
screens. Oh, it does get Encore.
Yeah, and then U-turn as well is very big, very rare for something to
Yeah.
get that.
Although
Um,
you would like to have a bit of a higher attack set than this for U-turn, but like, whatever.
you're just using it to get your sweeper in, right?
Yeah, and I mean it is stab, so I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah, so like Ledion's an example of like an honorable mention for a list like
Yeah.
this. It's a Pokemon that um, is considered completely terrible by most people's standards. But
Uh,
when we're really getting this low in a ranking like this, having an option like dual screens and a genuinely okay speed stat is enough to give you something. The Pokemon below Ledion generally have almost nothing
yeah.
really going for them.
Yeah, another honorable mention I want to bring up is Shedinja because this is a really tough Pokemon to like figure out how good it'll be because
hmm
every matchup Shedinja has is either it is completely invincible or you would be better off with a Magikarp. Like there is no in between. And so it
Yeah,
really
with
depends on metagames that don't exist yet, whether Shedinja would be like bottom five or not on the list. But still, I didn't feel fully comfortable putting it on the list just because there are Pokemon that it just completely shuts down, which is a niche.
yeah, and like my explanation for why I didn't even consider Shedinja for the list, I knew it wouldn't even be on the list, is because Shedinja will always have some form of niche in a tier. No matter how bad that niche is, it will have some sort of niche in any tier in DPP as a lead, because its typing allows it to disturb certain leads. And don't get me wrong, as a matchup fish, it's not very good. Even in like SU, it's a complete gimmick that isn't really worthwhile,
Well,
but it
it
is
it,
something.
it SU one of the most common leads is Sudowoodo, so that's a problem for it.
Yeah. And then like other leads too in the tier, like Machop destroys it with payback. If Onyx decides, Onyx can just taunt it really, and that immediately shuts down Shedinja because 90 attack isn't good enough with that typing.
Wait, but can't Onyx just hit it with a rock move? Who doesn't not run rock
It can. It
moves?
tends to run Earthquake over Stone Edge most of the time though.
Uh, oh, right, because you
Although I
need
do
to
like
run.
running Stone Edge to catch Pidgeot's off guard.
Oh, right, because you can't run dual stab because you need explosion stealth rock taunt. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
regardless,
because
Onyx.
Explosion is the only way it's getting any damage out.
Yeah, well, regardless, Onyx is not a fully evolved Pokemon, and even if it was, it wouldn't be anywhere close to this list. So,
Yeah, and
should
ended up
we?
establishing itself as a really good SU
Yeah, but that's kind of off track. Let's get into the actual list with the 10th worst fully evolved Pokemon in DPP, Masquerain. Uh,
Yeah, Masquerain was a Pokemon I was initially a little skeptical on because I'd say it and the Pokemon after it are the only Pokemon in the on this list that like resemble like decent Pokemon somewhat.
yeah,
Masquerain has Intimidate, genuinely really solid move pool coverage wise for a bug flying type. The main thing it struggles in really is just that it's not really fast enough, nor does it really have the utility options. Um,
yeah,
what I mean by that is like sleep, but sleep is banned, so I guess it doesn't even matter.
yeah. I mean, really, the best thing it can do is like either run like a weird pivot set with like stun spore and U-turn, or it can try to be like use it like bug, water, ice, it flying, and just like I guess like run a scarf set like this.
Yeah,
With like I mean
but
it has unique coverage, but like it's unique, but that doesn't mean it's good. Like
mhm.
you have more like ice beam is not a lot of bug types get it, but like you get a third way to bully grass types. Yay.
Yeah, like the only like I feel like to sell how bad Masquerain is, comparing it to the bug flyings that didn't make the list, I think would be a good idea. Like
Yeah. And
Butterfree is faster, has compound eyes, stun spore, Mothim has surprisingly really good damage output,
yeah, I mean Mothim's
and
stats are just better.
yeah, Mothim is better Masquerain.
Yeah. And
Like with like Swarm, you don't really even like need the coverage. You can just spam Bug Buzz.
yeah. Yeah. I mean oh, it doesn't get tinted lens? That's right, that's hidden ability. Yeah,
Yeah, and then
spoiler alert, these these bug flying types aren't gonna be anywhere near the list for Gen 5 onward because of Quiver Dance.
yeah, all three of them are like significantly better in Gen 5.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny because in Gen 3, Masquerain was significantly better than Butterfree because uh it had special moves, but Bug Buzz is a thing now. So
Yeah,
now it's just
and like
worse. And also Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock is a huge problem for Masquerain.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like
All,
really the thing that just lets Masquerain down is the fact that its stats are just distributed worse than Mothim and Butterfree.
yeah. Yeah. Number 9 is Wormadam Plant Cloak. This Pokemon has one of the worst typings possible and has no moves. its only saving grace is that its stats are okay.
Yeah. I'm actually interested to see where Wormaplant goes, because before the sleep ban, this just was a worse Parasect. Now it at least has a role as like a special attacking Parasect, I guess. A Parasect also has Sword Stance, so like
I mean,
just run Parasect.
a special attacking Parasect, I mean, it's a stronger special attacker, I guess, but like, I mean, yeah, I guess it's technically a better special attacker, but like, if you want a special attacking bug type, then honestly, Masquerain is better. And if you want a special attacking grass type, then uh, you are not exactly hurting for options.
Yeah,
Like Sunfloor
like
just
one of
does, like Sunfloor is just better in every way, right?
oh for sure.
And that's
Like
not
that's the
even a
thing with
Pokemon that's
Worm.
ranked in IU.
Yeah. Although, in my opinion, some Flora will probably end up rising to IU.
Yeah.
It has good traits,
Yeah,
especially with Sun existing.
yeah, that's true. But again, we aren't here to talk about Pokemon that are good.
Yeah.
We are here to talk about,
Flora being
well,
good is crazy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like,
Well, that's how bad
really,
the Pokemon here are.
all Worma Plant has going for it is that, like, Luxio can't break through it conveniently.
Hmm.
Like, like all it can really do is like wall electric types that run HP grass instead of HP ice.
Yeah, but
Which
really, the main thing that prevents Wormaplant from getting any higher is just the fact that it doesn't have a strong identity compared to like anything else.
yeah, and also it has like no moves. Like this is a
Yeah, like in terms of offensive prowess, the only thing you're gonna be able to do is like do a choice spec Sleep Storm. Other than that, Parasect is just better because it has more options.
yeah. Anyway, moving on to number 8, Spinda. Now Spinda is the opposite in whereas Worma Plant had decent stats but no moves, Spinda has a great move pool, but these stats are just way too low.
Hmm.
Like, that is like this is not workable. But
Yeah,
like,
in terms of just like mediocre normal type, Spinda is probably the worst of the fully evolved ones. It has first stage Pokemon stats,
yeah,
and this was before it got like contrary as an option either. So it just
yeah,
it's a generic normal type, and
yeah,
I'm trying to even like think of things like particularly that stand out about Spinda, but I can't. It's just
yeah.
bad.
Although one thing to note is that being a generic normal type implies being a normal type. And in lower tiers, normal types become very strong because we run out of normal resists. Like here are the ghost types left for IU, here are the steel types left for IU, and here are and there's actually a fair amount of rock types left, but as we get to like a tier below IU, we're gonna, and then a tier below that, there'll be fewer and fewer Pokemon that can handle just a stab return.
Yeah, and like that's the reason why Spinda is ranked higher than everything that will come after it because being a normal type in the lower tiers is basically being God.
Yeah, well, everything higher than everything except for number 7, which is kind of very similar, far-fetched.
Yeah, like
Uh,
Farfetch'd could be Farfetch'd was actually better than Spinda for a period in ADV before like a bunch of shifts happened.
yeah,
And in DPP, it's just very definitively a worse normal due to the stealth rock weakness.
yeah, the stealth rock weakness and uh, and just a worse move pool. Like,
Yeah, because Spinda has a lot of options
Yeah,
due to the
Spinda
fact that
has,
normal types are given really big
yeah,
move pools.
fighting coverage, psychic coverage. It has ice punch, rock slide, thunder punch, sucker punch. Like it has good coverage options. Where as Farfetch'd has normal stab, flying stab, and like poison jab and night slash, and U-turn. I guess U-turn is something.
Yeah, like Farfetch's move pool is honestly not that bad for what it's trying to do, especially in the lower tiers. But like again, Stealth Rock weakness automatically makes it worse than Spinda.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, these two are probably the Pokemon that I feel closest. Like
Yeah, I agree.
if there was any two Pokemon on the list that I could make a case for swapping, it would be these two.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't quite go that far, but I do understand the vision.
yeah, yeah. That being said, they're both very terrible and
Yeah.
are probably gonna compete with like. I mean, they're worse than like Castform and Delcatty. So like their competition is stuff like Loudred and Baneri. Like
Hmm.
if Baneri does, if this thing does your job better and you're fully evolved, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, like Baneri's better than Spinda and DPP in my opinion.
Yeah, isn't this just like a combination of the best traits of both of them? I mean, I guess it doesn't get
Yeah.
Sword Stance, but other than that,
Yeah, and then it can't really pivot anymore because we banned Batas, but
yeah. Uh, okay. Anyway, starting with number 6, we have Pokemon that are pretty. Wait, where was I going with that? I don't know. Anyway, number 6 is Beautifly. Uh, whoops.
yeah, just out of all the bug flyings, Beautifly is so clearly the worst of them. It is actually depressing that this thing has like just nothing. Its stats horrible, its speed is not good, its special attack is actually decent, but its move pool is just atrocious.
Yeah, it does not get Air Slash. It does.
Yeah, no good flying stab. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, all it can really do is click Bug Buzz, and like it has a decent special attack stat. So like I don't know. I guess in like a tier below the tier below IU, it can be an okay Scarfer.
Hmm.
Maybe. I mean, like this is just a worse Masquerain.
Yeah.
Like,
I honestly, I don't even really have anything to talk about with it. It's just
yeah,
like
yeah. This is such a
it's just obvious how
yeah,
bad it is.
yeah. It's just it's bad, but it's also kind of boring.
Hmm.
Anyway, up next, the fifth worst fully evolved Pokemon in DPP, Love Disc.
Yeah, like
Like,
Love Disc is very bad.
I mean,
It hits like a wet blanket despite being pretty quick. I feel like it struggles to stand out here compared to like DPP, compared to like ADB, where ADB SU it is viable.
yeah,
In DPP though, I just feel more waters are introduced, and the more waters get introduced, the more and more Love Disc starts to
yeah,
struggle finding a place for itself.
yeah. One thing Love Disc does have going for it is that its speed is really good. Like, it
Hmm.
outruns almost everything in IU, and it'll probably end up in a tier where it's the fastest Pokemon left. Because I have to
Yeah,
imagine
no
Voltorb is
given.
better. But
Hmm.
the problem with that is it has an amazing speed stat and nothing it can do with that. Like
Yeah, like I don't.
you can use toxic and charm and that's about it for taking advantage of your speed stat. And other than that, it's just like clicking surf with 40 base special attack. Like, yeah, I can pretty much always go first, but
Hmm.
going first and
Love
accomplishing
Disc is
nothing is
just
not that much
like
better than
another thing that I think is Yeah, something I think is more notable compared to ADV as well is that in ADV, having a raw speed stat that is really good is much more important in ADV than it is in DPP. And the reason why is because Choice Scarf kind of makes everything fast in DPP, which
Yeah.
means that the high speed stat that Love Disc has isn't going to be as valuable unless Love Disc is able to make up for it with having like other options. Which is the reason why I think Love Disc is significantly worse in DPP than it is in ADV, where it's able to find a niche due to that speed.
Yeah. It's also worse because the Pokemon that were worse than it in ADV were pretty much all just bug flying types, but all of them got bug buzz except for Ladian, who got light clay. So, like, the Pokemon that used to be worse than it are just no longer worse than it. Although
Yeah,
Beautifly does
like
come close, but at least Beautifly can deal some damage.
because like they give Beautyfly like a choice scarf in a really low tier, and it's gonna start shredding stuff apart.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, but I mean, by a low tier, we mean a tier where, like, Farfetch'd and Spin are either dominant or in the tier above. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if you can shred through a bunch of first form starters, congratulations, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I will say back when DPP 9U was a thing, because there were like extreme lower tiers that were kind of more speculative a while back. I actually did enjoy using Love Disc. It was one of very few fully evolved Pokemon available, and it was okay. Like, it pretty much relied on rain entirely, and you'd use it alongside stuff like Horsey, and it was like you use it as like a second Horsey,
Mm-hmm.
which, in case we aren't being clear, this is Horsey's stat distribution, and this is its move pool, and it's better than Love
Yeah.
Disc.
Yeah, because
That's
Horsey just hits harder too, which is a huge part of why Horsey I'd low key say because I think Horsey is better than Love Disc and ADV two even.
well, yeah, that's. I mean, I don't think that's as much up for debate since they're both SU. We have a VR. Wait, are they in the same rank
And
on
I'm
the?
actually of the opinion that Love Disc arguably shouldn't even be SU worthy in ADV, although that's I know that's a more hot take.
Yeah. Anyway, number 4 is Cricketune. Now, Cricketune has like a potential as a swords dancer, I guess.
Because
The,
like when I saw Cricketune, I was like, it doesn't even look that bad at a surface. And then I was like, oh yeah, because it has like Sucker Punch, right? And then I realized, oh, no Sucker Punch. It's like, okay, does it have like this other option? I think it has. No, okay, yeah, this thing is bad.
yeah,
Because
6.
like,
Yes. Yeah, it has the same speed tier as Beautifly, but is less offensively threatening because it has a lower attacking stat and X Scissor is weaker than Bug Buzz. Not only that, comparing it to Beautifly, Beautifly has recovery, it has stun spore. This thing has no utility. Like, it has taunt, and that's it. And I guess Endeavor, if you really want to call that utility, but like, Endeavor kind of requires being able to take a hit,
mhm.
which, like,
Like having being a slow swords dancer or stealth rock week, it's just destined for the ultra lowered
yeah.
tiers.
Yeah, I actually misremembered and thought it had Technician. If it had Technician, I mean, it would honestly, that would just move it above Love Disc. Let's be honest. Like, Technician Bug Bite instead of X Scissor is an improvement, but not by much.
And I still think there is a debate to have this above Love Disc, but I honestly don't even really care enough to argue
Yeah,
it.
it's yeah. But anyway, Cricketune is definitely a lot better than the bottom three, because starting the bottom three off, we have Spiky Eared Pichu. Now, this is kind of cheating a bit because, like, it is a variant of a Pokemon that's not fully evolved, but it itself cannot evolve. And if you compare it to regular Pichu, they actually have a different move pool. Spiky-Eared Pichu misses out on every move that Pichu only gets in Gen 3, meaning it is objectively worse than one of the weakest baby Pokemon in the game. Like,
And yet it is still only number 3.
yeah, the reason it's only number 3 has nothing to do with it and everything to do with the bottom two, because number 2 is unknown.
Yeah, because like at the very least, Pichu can like nasty plot sweep, right? Pichu has Thunder Wave. Pichu has moves. Unknown doesn't have moves.
Yeah, in fact, a Pichu, like I did some calcs and like Pichu has higher base power moves, which means it's not even that much weaker. In fact, I don't remember if it's slightly weaker or slightly stronger than Unknown, but regardless, if Unknown is about the same strength but is less versatile and slower, then what's the point? Like the one good thing about Unknown is that it has no drawback from running a choice item. So
Which like even then, Pichu could still probably do that better because it has stick and higher speed, I believe.
yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, Unknown technically was buffed from Gen 3 because in Gen 3 there was no choice item that boosted special attack, so it couldn't get a choice boost and a stab boost at the same time. Now it can, so it's technically better than it was in Gen 3. I mean, we're really like stretching for positives here because this thing truly has no like reason to run it in any tier like that has like more than 20 Pokemon. Like this is probably like a bottom 20, bottom 30 Pokemon, even ignoring the fully evolved only restriction. The worst fully evolved Pokemon in DPP is Ditto. Do I even need to say anything? Like the only real benefit is you have Choice Scarf to outspeed the Pokemon you manually transform into because Imposter isn't a thing this generation. This is a Pokemon that is legal and balanced in a tier that banned Bomi, Combi, Kakuna, and Sunkern. That, like, what else is there to say? Like, this thing has nothing going
Yeah,
for it
there really
whatsoever.
isn't
Yeah.
much to say.
Yeah, it just uses a turn manually transforming to become a worse version of whatever Pokemon your opponent has out. In addition, your opponent doesn't have to just let you get the setup sweeper. They can switch into whatever Pokemon they can have something else that can counter perfectly. For example, like if they have, say, a Luxio or something, then they can switch into that, let you transform into that, and then go into, I don't know, like a Gibble. And if the Luxio doesn't have. Actually, I don't know if Transform copies Hidden Power type in Gen 4. Uh, if it does,
I'm
then
not
that
sure.
might not work as well. I know in like Gen 8 Gen 8 doesn't have hidden power. I know in like Gen 6 and 7 your IVs on Ditto matter slightly to get the right hidden power type, but I also know in Gen 2 Ditto transforming into Unknown will copy its hidden power type in GSC 9U. So I don't know when the change was made, but regardless, the point still stands. It's just if Luxio has hidden power ice, this might not be a good example.
Yeah, like I think Like in general, it's just too slow of a play to go for the transform. The opponent can play around that transform very easily, even with the choice scarf equipped. It's just so unreliable. By the time that you transform, and you had to retransform every time you switch into, and it's like being forced to click Sunny Day to even click a single other move on like your Sunsweeper, right?
Yeah, except at least in that case, the sunny day benefits you and like allows you to click solo beam next or something. In this case, you're using up a tone not to become more powerful, but to become equally powerful as your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which
yeah, yeah, this is truly a Pokemon that has no benefit, and even in whatever tier Unknown and Spiky or Pichu end up in, Ditto will still not be viable. Um, and I know that because, again, Ditto is legal in a tier where Burmy, which is kind of a worse Unknown, because it's also relying on hidden power pretty much exclusively.
mm-hmm.
It ban
Because like
Burmy is banned in a tier where Ditto is not banned.
Ditto is just a fundamental.
It's just a what?
Mm. Oh yeah, Ditto is just a fundamentally flawed idea for a
You
roster because of the way transform works.
yeah. Um. Okay. And that's it for the list. Uh. Anyway, here's Aiden's YouTube channel. Check him out. Uh. I'll have it linked in the description and all that. That's basically everything to promote here, I think. And yeah, see you in the next video.